Hello, everyone. We're counting down to when Nigerians will go to the polls to elect their leaders, and it's exactly 18 days to the presidential and National Assembly elections. But in 33 months, more than 40 INEC offices have been attacked by hoodlums, sending a very disturbing signal whether elections will hold on February 25th as scheduled or not. Thanks for joining us on the program. I am Nifemi Okuntoye. Remember, you can join the conversation using the hashtag TVC Countdown 2023. The attacks on INEC offices are a serious concern. Apart from creating unnecessary tension in the polity, such attacks give the impression that some people are interested in undermining the electoral process in this country. The lives of INEC staff have also been exposed to danger, which might affect their mental readiness for the task. In the last 33 months, more than 40 INEC offices have been attacked, with the commission reporting loss of critical property. The attacks occurred in 14 states between February 2019 and May 2021. Imo State topped the log with the most attacks during the period under review. But even with a few weeks before the election, we've recorded similar attacks in Imo, Enugu, and Anambra. But it all began back in 2019. So let's take a short timeline of these attacks. 4 attacks in February of 2019. February 3rd, arsonists attacked an INEC office in Olu local government area after a court ordered a rerun election in Imo State. On the 22nd of February same year, 12 election duty vehicles were set ablaze at INEC office in Obotakara local government area of Akwa Ibom State. And on the 23rd of February was when the commission's office at Uriade local government area in Osun State was attacked. On the 24th February 2019, in the post-election violence, arsonists had attacked the commission's office in Isialambano local government area of Imo State. And then the attacks went on to March the 6th when thugs attacked INEC office in Ibesikwa Sultan local government area of Akwa Ibom. And that same day, arsonists also attacked the commission's office in Eastern Obolo local government area of the state. 3 days after, on March the 9th, the INEC office at Mpatene local government area of Akwa Ibom was also attacked. And these are just a few mentioned out of the 40 attacks on INEC's facilities since 2019 to date. With all of these, we're asking the question whether INEC is fully prepared and also whether or not elections will hold come 25th February.
With barely 18 days to the general election, campaigns are in top gear as different political parties are busy crisscrossing the length and breadth of Nigeria campaigning. Attacks on security agents and INEC facilities, especially in the south, have generated growing concern around the sanctity of the election date. In December 2022, 3 attacks and arson, including the use of explosives, rocked INEC offices in southeastern state of Anambra, Imo, and Enugu State. In the new year, CUPP spokesman Ikenga Ugochinyeri's house was also attacked in Imo State.
Look at this.
Also, INEC facilities in Anambra, Enugu, even police stations were attacked. These attacks were reportedly linked to a section of secessionist agitation group that insisted that no election must take place in the region.
Reconfigure a style that will soften the conscience of the boys who listen to this leader. Because it will have a way of letting all of us vote. Whether you're a supporter or you're a non-supporter. If you know that you're going to come and vote peacefully and go, you will come out. But if you know that you're under the threat of being shot or even running, or your blood pressure can spike up, you may not dare to come out.
Statistics from the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project suggest that might be a conservative estimate that many feel should be contained to restore voter confidence in the exercise.
People are worried about that. All over the southeast, there has been, a lot of insecurity issues, not just, towards INEC. The people are not secured. The environment is not secured. So the government needs to take, actions in terms of, arresting the perpetrators, prosecuting them. People should see action.
It's actually a concern. But I think it's not something that should make us to all go and relax, but rather to keep engaging, finding solutions by convening subsequent meetings of security experts, security agents, and of course, all relevant stakeholders at the community level, including traditional leaders.
As the election draws near, Nigeria are challenging government to deploy necessary measures to ensure electorate confidence before, during, and after the polls are restored. Bamidele Ajayi, TVC News, Enugu.
Now, let's get security expert opinion on this. Oyekachi Adekoya is our go-to on the program this evening. Mr. Adekoya, thank you for joining us on the program. Imo, Anambra, and Enugu are where attacks on INEC facilities have been reported recently. In 2021, remember that elections were postponed in Ihiala local government area in Anambra due to security concerns. Do you consider these latest developments a significant threat to the coming election?
Yeah, thanks, Nifemi, for having me. I think that the report even shows that there is a lot of concern. And empirically, we see that the statistics of crime will spike. We're now in the period where it spikes. And typically, that will be 1 week to the eve of the election. Coincidentally, the action seems to have started a bit early. Maybe also when you look at the type of incident that are happening and where they are happening. For example, attacks in the southeast are more against INEC's facility, which will in turn impair INEC's ability to run the election smoothly. In the north, we are seeing attacks on political parties, with PDP bearing the brunt of it. And just recently, we've seen the cash crunch in the economy and the irritation it is causing in the north and in the southwest. So there are a number of issues that make this election a bit difficult. And we are almost nearing the sense of tension that we once had on the eve of the 2015 election. So it is a major factor to consider. And I think everyone is raising a concern about this.
So I'm sure you saw the video circulated online showing a group in Imo claiming not to be IPOB members, but threatening that elections will not hold. How exactly should security agencies react to this, as well as other similar threats?
Yeah, thankfully, I think we don't give Nigerian security forces enough credit, because when the police or the DSS or the military intelligence want to work, they can't do a good job. And to be fair to the DSS and to members of the Nigerian Armed Forces, they have been doing a lot of work, particularly in around Imo, Anambra axis. So they just continue to do the clearance operations they are doing. In the report, someone talked about community engagement and some civil engagement. That is also what to do. But a little caveat, we have about 176,000 polling units. If you were to put 2 policemen per polling unit, that would give you almost 300 and something. We don't have the number. We don't have the police. We don't have the army. We don't have the number to completely secure every corner of Nigeria during the elections. Remembering also that the borders will be shut down and the border points, entry points will also be manned. So the security agencies can only do the best they can do, but we must concede that it is rather too late in the day to expect that we'll have a flawless expectation. I think the best they can work towards is a managed scenario where the issues of violence are isolated rather than being dispersed and widely uncontrollable. I think that's the best that security forces can hope for.
Outside the southeast, what other parts of the country do you consider flashpoints for this election?
Incidentally, I mean, we've done an analysis of the whole election outcome. I mean, we estimate that minimum 1 to 2 weeks post-elections, we may still be dealing with some of the issues of the outcome of the election, because if APC wins, if PDP wins, if the Labour Party wins, you then have to manage the expectation, unreasonable as it were, of some of their supporters. So that we would deal with for a long time. And so when you consider the Osun elections, the issues with Beavers and the tribunal, Lawan's case with the Supreme Court, we have a lot of things to managed. Now, in terms of what other things are happening, in the north, we're seeing attacks on parties. On parties, we've seen assassinations in the north. We've seen a lot of action of armed clashes, armed violence in areas of opposition strength. So those are the other things that are happening. And Nifemi, to be fair to you, when we have a local state election, you will hear the police deploy 33,000, 40,000 policemen. You can't deploy that number across the 36 states plus the FCT. So, I mean, we just need, like the National Peace Committee has been appealing, we must have cool heads and cool minds in the room and find a conducive environment for the polls to go on. It's late, but I mean, if we do take a collaborative approach, hopefully we can have a managed situation.
So you talked about 2015 earlier. The election was postponed for some 6 weeks as a result of security concerns. I'm wondering if you think we are there right now. If you add to some of these attacks, if you add to it the security concerns that are also growing as a result of the scarcity of Naira, as well as all of the economic realities we're faced with right now.
Well, without sounding like an alarmist, that's almost like we are sitting on a keg of gunpowder. There's a lot of pent-up aggression, there's a lot of pent-up frustration. People are sleeping in the banks. Some banks are without cash. We've heard some of the senators report that CBN has only minted about 300 billion, but it has mopped up 1.9 trillion. That's a far cry from what you need to be in circulation. So we are joking with some serious situation in this country. People can buy fuel. They don't have lights. They don't have cash. Cash is the oil that gets the economy running. And a lot of Nigerians are itinerary workers, people who don't even have accounts. So this issue of cash crunch, fuel scarcity, with the mass killings and the frustration in the economy has to be looked into very seriously. Because like some analysts are saying, if we have bouts of uncontrolled protest that leads to or degenerates into a civil disobedience and complete civil disturbance, it may become a very difficult situation for us to have elections on that. So it's a big concern. In managing crowds, you want to manage them to a point and ensure that they don't become into a mob. So there are different processes of how you manage crowd or crowd management. And once they gather, they have a life of their own. But once they aggregate into a mob, then another NSAS can ensue. So I know the president has promised to do some things, but it's a very serious concern. And thank you for raising it. It's absolutely a serious concern.
So in 30 seconds, Mr. Adekoya, you don't share the optimism by INEC that 25th February is sacrosanct, particularly now that the president is asking for 7 days to fix all these problems.
No, absolutely. Constitutionally, we don't like a constitutional crisis in Nigeria. Last time we had one, we did a doctrine of necessity. So absolutely, 25th is sacrosanct. We don't have the conditions that we had like Boko Haram then. So those conditions are not there. But there are fears and there are worries that can be managed, hopefully, if the government does the right things. Otherwise, we have a big problem staring us in the face. I hope to be optimistic, but the problems are there.
Security expert Oyeka Adekoya, thank you so much for talking to us on The Countdown.
Thank you for having me.
Well, the recent revelation from the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, about some forces in the presidential villa frustrating the chances of APC at the poll has been eliciting reactions. Just last week, Friday, governors of the APC met President Buhari on the challenges confronting the nation, from fuel scarcity to Naira scarcity, which the president promised to address in 7 days. Well, is this a promise that will bring succor to Nigerians? And we're also asking the question right now, who are these powerful forces in the villa? Let's get more perspectives in this report from TVC State House correspondent Femi Akonde.
President Muhammadu Buhari's attendance at the flag-off of the APC presidential campaign rally in Nasarawa further demonstrated his commitment to campaigning for the Tinubu-Shettima presidential ticket and his desire to ensure the APC gets the highest number of votes. But recently, the party was hit by issues that threatened to tear it apart. There are allegations of lack of commitment from certain individuals in the hierarchy of the APC. But the APC governors from the north have decided to stick together and confront what they refer to as a cabal working to scuttle the chances of their party at the polls. The Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai was the first among the governors to speak up against perceived opposition from some unnamed elements in the presidential villa. They allege that the Naira Redesign policy of the central bank was a deliberate act to incite citizens against the government of the day and the All Progressives Congress.
Our fear is that this situation might cause unrest in the country. We also feel it will affect the elections or even cause outright cancellation of the polls. Thankfully, the president has said he will look into it. The chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum has also further engaged the president on the matter. We look forward to a favorable outcome.
The presidency has not confirmed nor denied the report of a disgruntled cabal working against the chances of the party at the presidential ballots after they lost out during the APC primary election. The APC governors want the old currency to still be used as legal tender until the end of the year. The CBN is sticking to its guns and refusing to shift grounds, but President Muhammadu Buhari has the final say and power to insist on a shift in deadline. For now, it is still unclear who the cabals are.
Who do you think the cabals are? TVC senior political correspondent Ayodele Uzugbaku joins me in the studio now. It's 18 days to the presidential election and campaigns are taking a different twist. We've had cabal several times during this administration, but at what point did they become a part of our politics?
Okay, Nifemi, it's a very difficult question to answer because the word cabal has always existed, in our lexicon, tracing back to even, let me start by the recent one, 1999. It became prominent during the Yaradua administration. But when I was just searching for that word cabal, and I said, okay, let me make my research into that word. Before that time, the word cabal came, but it was just a group of, some ministers under King Charles II in the United Kingdom. So that name, Clifford, Arlington, Buckingham, Ashley, and Laundry.
So it wasn't
from CABA.
Acronym from
yes, cabal. They were strong ministers under King Charles. So I now said, okay, let me do this. In 1999, when you talk about people that, they are not necessarily elected people. They are people, president's men, after the Federal Executive Council meeting, president's brothers, president's, friends. The president is human. You will have friends. So in 1999, we refer to the likes of Otuba Fashewe, as part of the cabal, late Ufo Kaite, SSG. You talk about Andy Uba. Andy Uba was SSA Domestic Affairs, but very, very strong. This Andy Uba from Anambra State. Abdullah Mohammed was the chief of staff. So in 1999, those were seen as the power brokers, kitchen cabinet. Now, when you now go to the Yaradua time, it became a matter of the likes of Andoaka, the Attorney General, Yusuf Tilde, the Idi Kam, Mustafa Noiveta, Abdurrahman Dambazao, that's former chief of army staff. During the time, those were the prominent names. But the face of that real cabal was the Minister of Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Michael Andoaka, that said Mr. President could actually sign the bill and the budgets from any place in the world. Absolutely. The powers will go to Saudi Arabia with Mr. President. Talking about times of good luck, you see even the likes of Ayo Richard Jeffo, Pastor Edwin Clark, Orunto Douglas, late Orunto Douglas, old and unknown. This administration, Mr. President has some friends, the likes of late Issa Futua. He's late. What's his name? Issa Futua, late Abakari is also there. Tunde Sabiu, and his uncle, Mamandara. But a lot of people, those guys, you don't see them every day, but they are powerful people. They are not elected. They are not elected individuals. They are not ministers.
And they probably wield more power than the elected.
They have in the ears of Mr. President.
I remember that on your show you had a conversation with the Kaduna State Governor,
Yes.
and you were asking him to name these cabal, and he was saying
Difficult to name.
naming them is not as important as winning them at the polls. This is an intra-party fight for the APC. It's perhaps even more dangerous than...
They are even claiming that these are not even necessary members of the APC, that they are working with Mr. President. They're not their party members.
How much role do you think these individuals would play as to who emerges president after this election? Do you think they carry so much power?
The responsibility, look, we've gotten over that time that they could influence whoever emerges as president, in the sense that, look, the ruling party, they've had their primaries, and they would have done a lot to make sure that somebody emerges. And immediately they had their candidates, that's enough. But the responsibility right now solely lies on 93 million Nigerians, not any cabal anywhere. Nothing any cabal can do around the place. The Independent National Electoral Commission has told us several times that it's going to be decided by the ballots, not any cabal in Aso Rock.
So the conversation has been how invested Mr. President is in the Asiwaju campaign. And we saw him come out, I think, which state was that, where he mentioned that he's solidly
came out in
behind
Katsina State today,
Yes, today.
And he's been to some other states with Mr. President.
It would seem that there's not so much division as it's been widely publicized, or is this just for the camera, the kind of relationship we're seeing?
After this administration, I think I'm going to write a book on Muhammadu Buhari. He's a complex character. You can't read his mind. You can't read his body language. It's a very, very difficult person to, predict, to read his mind and everything. But what I've seen lately, to douse any speculation that he has not been supporting his party, he has gone ahead in Katsina State to say, look, this is, in fact, there's one audio that is online, and I listened to Mr. President calling Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Mr. President, sir, referring to him as Mr. President, sir, that I'm committed to your presidency, and I'm committed that our party, the All Progressive Congress, will actually win this poll. So that's what we've seen. But he promised to go to 10 rallies with them. He has not been to the 10, but he has attended some. And we hope that, a level playing field. He has said it several times, so that people will not misconstrue the promise for a level playing field
to mean influence
is going to take
election.
advantage over others.
Now, the APC will have to count on the words of Mr. President being a reflection of what he really feels in his heart. One thing we are sure that the president is concerned about is leaving a legacy of a credible election. We saw it with the passage of the Electoral Act.
He said it in Katsina State today, that somebody that will sustain his legacy. That whatever he has invested in this government in terms of project and everything, that he's looking forward to somebody that will actually carry on from where he stopped and everything. The Electoral Act. And
what is also done in the past 7 years is a subject of debate for many Nigerians to decide whether
it's debatable.
They agree that it's done
like
well or not.
Journalists in the newsroom, that you are as good as your last reports.
Absolutely. We have to go now. Senior political correspondent Ayodele Ozugbaku, it's going to be busy days ahead for journalists, and we're counting on you to do what you know how to do best. That's our program today. We'll be back tomorrow, God willing, same time, 6 p.m. Remember, you can watch a repeat broadcast at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. Remember to use the hashtag TVC Countdown 2023 to participate live on the program. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. See you again tomorrow.